Welcome back to another edition of SNG News from SNG Studios here in Ventura. It's been an amazing week this week. We had Rick Stratton, who's an old friend of mine, and he came up here with his wife Mara, and we talked about all times in his career on our podcast, SNG Now. And if you want to hear that podcast, you can go to iTunes or Podbean and type in SNG Now, and you'll get all our podcasts there. We've had a bunch of them with people who worked in the industry and outside the industry and everything else in between. This week, I'm getting back to working on Star Trek series because we love Star Trek, especially old Star Trek, and because that's really the real Star Trek. You'll remember, a lot of you back in, as far back as, 2010, or maybe it was 9, that we decided to do sort of a spoof fan Star Trek movie called Star Trek Sirius that I am actually in with Rosie, and Doug Drexler's in it, and I'm finally finishing that now that But Something Is There is finished. And in finished, yet it is indeed, because we just ended the Indiegogo campaign. We found that the interest just wasn't there, sadly, so we refunded the money we did get back to everyone who backed us and supported us, and believe you me, we really appreciate and love you for your support, but it just wasn't enough to make it happen. So it's time to move on, go on to other projects. The film will be available for you to see for free. That's right, we're going to release it to the public on butsomethingisthere.net, which is the website for the actual film series, and it will be there September 1st, and you can watch it for free. We do have a small donation button down there to PayPal that you can click on if you feel that's something you want to do, and you can contribute whatever you want for watching it, but it's not mandatory. But we would appreciate the support if you could, because it cost us a lot of time and a lot of money to make that show, and we're not able to sell it. So that's why we're showing it for free. So it'd be great if you could do that. I want to show you the laser blast gun that we've been working on. Oh, and before we go to do that, I want to thank my friend Adam Savage. He blew my mind out in a car. Well, actually, he blew my mind out at home. I got an email from his personal assistant and said that Adam wants to send you something and wanted to make sure my address is right. And I'm assuming it's the eyeballs for the Star Child, because as you all know, he has one of my Star Childs, if you saw the video where I went up and visited him, and we're making good eyes for it. Well, he's making them. He's going to send me a pair. But what showed up instead was a very long box like this, which had Mary confused. She said, it feels kind of light. I don't know what it is. I knew what it was. I knew right away. I opened it up, and there was Jack Aubrey's sword. Now, if you don't know who Jack Aubrey is, or Lucky Jack, then you don't know about Master and Commander, which is one of my very favorite movies of all time. And as it turns out, it's Adam's too. He put a note on the sword, and it said, I found I had 2 of these. I thought you ought to have one. And I was just blown away, because it's an absolute replica of the actual sword, same as the ones used in the film. So that was just amazing. Adam, thank you so much. You got me. I got to figure out something to get you back. Anyway, let's go look at the laser blast gun. So I've been working on the laser blast gun off and on during the week, trying to get this gun finished, because after the gun is finished, I've got to do the amulet that was around his neck, and we're going to do the makeup too. But this is the one that's taking the most time, and so what I've been able to do so far is make more parts. These are of course, the heat sinks that I needed, and they weren't coming out very good with the other resin because it was old, and I got some new resin that I got from SRC, Specialty Resin and Chemical, Dan Wilson there. This material is a very good 2-part polyurethane resin. I thought I'd try it. He's like the only company that offers a gallon kit. You either get a quart kit or you get a 2-gallon kit. And I just needed a gallon kit because the stuff goes bad if you don't use it up quickly enough. So that was great. It was very low cost. It had a very good recommendation from people who had bought it on Amazon. And I was a little skeptical, but this stuff, I gotta tell you, is absolutely beautiful. It does not warp. You can see that all these lines are parallel and the parts are clean and straight. And they're very strong. This is really a great resin to get. And it's their 2-part polyurethane resin. I highly recommend it. Again, the company is SRC Specialty Resin Design, and their website is, where is it? Oh yes, right here, specialtyresin.com. So that's been great because it's making it very easy to make these parts that I still need. I also got made a vacuform buck out of the same material that I will vacuform the glass part of the little TV screen there, which looks just like a TV screen did in the 60s, which is always cracked me up that Watching did that. In addition to that, of course, I've made, this is the original one off of an old tricorder, which is metal, and this one is plastic. But if you watch our video, you'll see how I made this look like real metal, and I didn't use all clads either. And to do that, you would have to become a patron of our Patreon account. And for $3 a month, you get access to all our videos, which are in depth of how we make things from monsters to props, and also articles, photographs that are only shared with our patrons. And we also have stuff there for the public too, so don't shy away from it. Go there. There's lots of interesting things we post there as well. But for our subscribers, you get to get a little bit more. So, and I'm covering this gun completely. I've been getting lots of parts, making lots of parts. These are the little bubbles I had used back then that will go on here. It's just been a busy, busy piece to work on, but we're getting close to wrapping it up in the next 2 weeks, and it's been very exciting. Of course, we've been working on the robot here, so I'm continuing to work on this, making leg parts. Soon we're going to be doing the arms. We're going to finish off the waist and stuff, and that's all going to start happening next week. This has taken a long time to do. It's a huge, huge project, but and I have not been doing much of an in-depth on this, but I have recently started, so you can actually see how I make all these parts and learn how to do it. And we teach all that in those videos as well. And I wanted to tell you in closing about a very special project we have coming up. And Gary Hughes is going to be involved in this too. It's been known to me for a long time that Bob Burns wanted one of these, the TWA rocket. And the reason that this model is so important to Bob and myself is that both of us actually in the 50s stood down here, about that tall, looking up at 75 feet of this, when Disneyland was a really cool place to go, and they had things like this, and they had things like the Nautilus, and this was their trip to the moon rocket. This was, the real thing was supposed to be 250 feet. They had a 75-foot tall model of it. It looked big enough to get in, and I tell you, when I was just a little kid, and I must, you know, it was like 1958, 59, right around in there, I was like 7, 8 years old. This thing just blew my mind, and it just kind of changed me forever. And it did for Bob too, and a lot of other people. And so this is like a really kind of, not a holy grail. Adam calls everything a holy grail, but it was something that's near and dear to our hearts because of how it affected us when we were kids. And when I was given this model to finish and keep, I was just beside myself to have one. So my friend, Scott Alexander, is the one, and many of you will know about Scott. He makes all kinds of incredible, beautiful models. Made the kit. It's inbound, it's on the way, and when we get it, Gary Hughes and myself are going to make this into a 1 or 2 day build, and then we're going to take it down to Bob, and I know he'll be thrilled. And if things work out right, and Adam's Savage schedule allows, Adam said he would come down too. So the 3 of us will present this model to him, and we're going to document the whole thing on video. We're going to cover every part of it and when we take it to Bob and everything. So it's going to be a wonderful video that you'll be able to see. So that's the kind of great stuff we're doing here and continuing on with, and we will always continue doing wonderful and fun and magical things here. Thank you for all your support. We love you a whole bunch, and we'll see you next week.